Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining this session titled Utilizing the LSU OCC to Connect with Your Target Students. My name is Kyle O'Neill, and I'm the Associate Director of Employer Development and Relations here at the LSU ON Career Center. So presenting today with my wonderful colleague, Amy Caluette, who serves our office as the Manager of Employer Development. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. Please make sure that you keep your microphones on mute as well as your cameras hidden. That's just to keep us on track and to eliminate any of the distractions that I'm sure we have all encountered during this virtual time together over the last 5 months. I know we've all probably seen some interesting things happening in the background of some of our video feeds. So just keeping those cameras closed just kind of helps keep everybody on track. But that doesn't mean that we don't want you guys participating. We would love to answer your questions. So please utilize the chat function, as I'm sure you all have throughout the day today. Amy and myself, whoever basically is not speaking on each slide, will be monitoring that chat to answer those questions. And we'd be happy to present those questions to the larger group should those apply. And, you know, some of the notes are, obviously, when you're asking those questions, be sure you include everyone at the top, just so everybody can see the question. Like I said, we'll try to get those answered in a very timely manner. Question, for some reason, does not get answered. I know, Amy, I have a tendency of being long-winded. So if those questions don't get answered,
I didn't say it.
Yeah, I had to go ahead and say it. Please hesitate to forward those to me. My direct email and Amy's will be included at the end of the slide. We would be glad to answer your questions, you know, afterwards and touch base on kind of a one-on-one basis. Last not least, you can utilize the speaker view if you haven't already. That will help, you know, help you kind of follow along a little easier, kind of cut down on some of the clutter. Please note that this session is being recorded. And as Courtney shared earlier today, the recordings of these sessions will be made available after the event. So that's just a little side note. So, wanted to go ahead and get into the presentation. So like I said, we're going to be talking today about utilizing the OCC to connect with your target students. And that's really, you know, some tips and best practices for increasing your student engagement. All right. So we're going to do just a brief OCC overview, and I think Amy's going to kind of take it from here.
Hello, y'all. I just want to get y'all a little bit of background on the OCC. So we did start in the 1980s. That was prior to me ever being working there, even though I've been here for 14 years. Prior to the office that we're in now, we opened our new office in the student union in the fall of 2014. Prior to that, we had never been housed under the same roof, which was kind of an odd dynamic. The student services side was housed in the basement of Coates, and employer development and relations side was in Patrick F. Taylor. So we were really happy to get our friends out of the basement of Coates, and we moved into our new location in 2014. We are a centralized career center, which just simply means that we work with all majors in our university. We like to provide services direct to our students, and we're employer focused in both growth and retention. And so I'll go over a few of the services that we have. We have a liaison program, and we have career coaches for our College of Business, College of Engineering, College of Humanities, and Social Sciences. The liaison population is really designed to strengthen and communicate with these other colleges. We have 4 service areas. We have our career decision-making team, we have job search, employer development and relations, and we have operations. As you can imagine, some of our students, you know, some of them coming out of high school, they know exactly what they want. And then some of them enter into college and they just don't know what their career path is going to be, and they're somewhat overwhelmed. So that's when our career decision-making team can help hone in on those skills, their interests, their work values, and their personal interests. Our job search team, they prepare our students for the job search and how to articulate their experiences and their skills to the employers. The employer development and relations team, that's the team that Kyle and I are on. Our main goal or our main function with this is to do outreach. We want to do outreach and get these wonderful companies to hire our students. We also have Courtney Edwards, who works on our events and our workshops, and we're up to, I think, 21 over the fall and spring semesters. And then we have our on-campus interviewing, which will be a little bit different than it has in the past. We can do a virtual, or you can come in socially distance and wear your mask and interview our students that way. And we also have operations, and our operation team essentially runs our office. And we have Melina, who actually is our communication experts and gets all of the outreach out to our students and to our employers.
So our work, what do we do? Obviously, we host, I think, as Amy said, kind of the forefront of what we want to ensure is we want to provide avenues for our students and employers to connect. And we do that through in-person and virtual appointments for students and employers. So as she was mentioning, your job search and career decision-making team has really been meeting over the summer, and will continue this fall doing virtual appointments with our students and offering walk-in, in-person appointments as well. And, Amy, myself, and some of the rest of our EDR team, we've been participating in virtual sessions with our employers over the summer. I think some of y'all in this meeting today, we've actually met with. So that's something that will continue in the fall. Obviously we look forward to the day that we can kind of go out and meet everybody in person again and do our, employer outreach visits. But we're going to make the most of it right now and continue those efforts virtually. We do offer 21 annual recruiting events. That number has grown since I got here in 2017. I think it's grown by 3 to 4 events, newer events that we've added over the last couple of years. As Amy said, those will be virtual for the fall, and we'll be hosting those on the Easy Virtual platform, which we have a demo, I think, coming up actually right after this. So we're excited to launch into the kind of this new normal, at least for the fall semester. But we are absolutely looking forward to hopefully having y'all back on campus in the spring. That's certainly our goal and our hope. And we'll kind of see what hands are dealt to us, as we go through the fall. So offer that on-campus interviewing program. As Amy said, we're going to be launching a virtual component of that this fall as well. And we've got a slide that will cover that in more detail here in a little. Connecting with we connect students with employers and graduate professional programs. And like I said, at the crux of our mission, that is what we want to do. We are here to serve our students. They are our number one customer, but we serve our students by serving our employers. These kind of events like what we're offering today are so vital to the work that we do because we want to make sure that each and every employer that wants to recruit at LSU has success in those endeavors. And we're ensuring that. And then last but not least, we assist employers and schools in their specific talent needs through multiple avenues. And like I said, we'll cover kind of the full gamut of those as we go throughout the rest of this presentation.
I'm sure most of y'all are pretty familiar with the Handshake platform that we have. And I kind of have referred back to the student panel because that's one of my favorite panels when we have employer drive-in. And most of our students, they talked about this was the first place that they go to look for a job. And I just want to give you some tips of the trade to kind of get your name out there so that students can really see your logo and match that up with the jobs. I did pull some stats a little bit right before our presentation started, just to give you a little information of how our students do utilize the Handshake platform. So we have 35% of our students now that have a completed profile in Handshake as of today. So we have over 31,000 students that are enrolled at LSU. So roughly that's over 10,000 students that have a completed profile that would be looking at your full-time jobs, your part-time jobs, your internships. And that's just students with completed profiles. So I'm sure there's even more than that are actually in the system and haven't completed their profile. So that's a big number of students that are able to see these jobs that you're posting out there. Just make sure, like I said, with your branding of the company, include your logo, your cover image, and a thorough description of the company. Because students want, whenever they go to the site, to be able to have everything taken care of all at one place. And also when we're finally, hopefully able to have in-person events, when they see your logo in Handshake and then see your logo at a career event, it's easy for them to match that up. So keep that branding consistent. And, like the student panelist said, they get so excited when they see a fully and completely engaged Handshake profile for the employers. So just make sure that it's complete and it's engaging to the students.
And I was going to echo what Amy was saying. I think Aaron O'Keefe earlier today from Handshake actually delivered a presentation on, kind of recruiting in a virtual environment via Handshake. So I'm sure some of y'all were able to attend that, but for those that might not have been able to, I would highly suggest watching her video whenever we're able to send the links out, because she goes into even more detail about all the little nuances that Handshake offers that you can really expand upon your branding there within their virtual platform. And it's like Amy said, it does take some extra time and a little bit of extra effort, but I think the benefits far outweigh the lost time building those out, because it's just the comfortability level that students have when they visit an employer page that's well thought out and really well built out, complete with logos and like she was saying, that real thorough description of your company and your company values. And I think that's really what we're seeing more so now, is that kind of hyper focus on, like, what is this company, who are they, and what do they stand for? So definitely take that extra effort, whether it's you or your team, to really expand upon what that Handshake profile looks like. So again, I would plug Aaron O'Keefe's session that she did a little earlier today. Be sure you check that out whenever we release those links. So, looking at the event side, obviously that is our bread and butter. I mean, I think we probably focus, I can't even give you the percentage of our effort to our events. That's really how we are able to serve both our employers and our students, is by providing these avenues for connections, and those are through our events. So, our advice when looking at, why should I attend events? Well, attending events, as Amy kind of alluded to a little earlier, that helps either create, increase, or maintain your company's brand awareness for our students at LSU. And we always like to remind, employers that, wasn't built in a day, and building brand awareness at LSU is not going to be built in one semester. It's going to take some time, especially for new companies. And I know that's sometimes tough to hear, but it's really the effort that you put in is going to be, I think, the connections that you get out of that relationship. So, we hear it often from employers that are first times that, oh, well, I hosted my first info session and I just didn't quite get the participation that I was really hoping for. And while, yes, that's disheartening and discouraging at times, we always have to remind them that, hey, like, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. It's going to take multiple info sessions per semester, or, compounding semesters of engagement before you might see that influx of really students seeing that brand and then knowing exactly who you are. But again, that's why we're here. We're here to help you kind of navigate that journey. But again, I think if you were to talk to the employers that have had long-standing success recruiting here at LSU, it's because they've been around and they continue to be around. And that kind of goes to that next point is, our recommendation is to attend at least one event per semester, whether you're hiring or not. And again, I'm saying that as saying, I know that that's a financial commitment for your organization. Like, it costs money to attend and it costs money to stay involved. But the pros of that far outweigh the cons, because, one of the negatives is it can only take a semester or two for all of your work as far as building your brand awareness and recognition to fall off. And we've seen that in companies. We have seen that where companies, for whatever reason, whether it was financial or they just didn't have the jobs, or their particular market or industry kind of hit a downturn, that they kind of stepped away from the recruiting. And, after a year or two, they had to completely start over with, reestablishing themselves in the student's perspective. So again, like that point says, there's so much value in just at least attending one event, or at least continuing to host, those virtual sessions, just to continue to keep your name out there in front of students, because it's so much harder to have to start over than it is to exert the effort to just continue your momentum. Again, whether or not you're currently hiring. And we understand right now there's a lot of companies that are, that have had to kind of curtail some of their hiring practices because of the economy. And we understand that. And we're sympathetic to that. So for those companies that are like, look, I don't have jobs available for students, that's okay. Still engage with those students, because you know what? There's going to be a day that you're going to need to hire again. It's coming. It may come in 2 months. It may come in 2 years, but you're going to need to make hires at some point. So we just kind of implore our employers to keep the momentum going. And then, some other things to consider when attending those events, think outside the box in regards to your company's needs. And we see this all the time, that employer X may come and look, like, we have historically, that's all we do. We hire mechanical engineers. That's what we need from LSU. But we always ask, have you considered that you also have an accounting department? You also have an HR department. You also have a marketing team that has to, keep your company image up. You have public relations that goes on all the time. So we would encourage, our employers and their recruiting teams kind of go back to the table and say, okay, like, yes, obviously we look at LSU because LSU produces great industrial engineers, and we know that we need those every year. But what else can you hire? Because I would challenge you that just about anything that you could flip over and uncover within your industry or your company that you would need to hire, LSU's got students in that, and great students at that. So we would encourage you, really look at the broader picture, because I think that's where we really find the sweet spot of relationships with our employers, or those employers that are hiring multiple disciplines for their company. Obviously, we have a lot of employers that come and they are, kind of singular focused. I need X. But I think the companies that have so much success here are those companies that are like, yes, we know that we hire X and we have to have that, but you know what? We could use the Y's and the Z's as well. So again, that's just a point that we wanted to make to consider. And then also, make sure that you have those jobs posted in Handshake prior to attending the events, because that gives you a great place to refer students when you meet them, to tell them to go and apply at. So it just kind of goes hand in hand. It's an easy conversation, kind of closer of, hey, John, I've really enjoyed this conversation with you today. Please go to Handshake and check out our assistant project manager position, because I think you'd be a great fit for that, and I'd love to see you apply for that job. So having those jobs in the system just gives you that extra oomph, to direct a student to, especially those high performing students that you want in your organization.
And I wanted to add one more thing to that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're coming to these events, if you have an alum, or even if you have one of your interns, to help them recruit other Tigers is a great asset. We will give them an alumni ribbon, and for the students to see a common denominator already within your organization excites them. And like I said, even if you have an intern that's working for you, and it's one of one of their peers that they can actually connect with, it's great for you to bring them and help them recruit other Tigers for you.
That's great information, Amy, and I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, we say that all the time when we're talking to employers. There's nothing better than Tigers recruiting Tigers. And see that a lot of really engaging those first year students. I mean, fresh out of college. And some of them may be like, oh, whoa, like I don't know, like that sounds like a big ask, to ask me to go to an event with you. But the relatability that those fresh graduates will have with our current students, those are connections that sometimes, whether we'd like to admit it or not, connections that some of our more tenured staff would have difficulty really establishing. Whereas it makes sense that students that were just in the place of these students attending these events within the last year or two, those students are just naturally going to connect better. So again, thank you again for mentioning that, Amy. That is such a huge proponent to recruiting here at LSU, is make sure that your alumni are engaging in these events whenever and wherever possible.
And just a couple of other ways that y'all can connect. I know Kyle mentioned info sessions, and then info sessions kind of came up in several other of the programs that we had, or the platforms that we had today. The student panelists, kind of hit the nail on the head, and I keep referring back to the students. But, the info sessions began just for students to learn about companies that they didn't know a whole lot about. So whether it's a virtual info session, or, if it's when we're able to go face-to-face, just make sure that you put your own spin on it. You can make it interactive, make it engaging and personal for the students, and I think you'll have more of a response from those students. And also reach out to the student orgs. Student orgs are a great way to get in front of these students. I know employers would love to get into a classroom. It's really hard at LSU to get into these classrooms. Our professors get kind of tight on their time, and it's kind of hard to get that, but to get connected with some of these student orgs is a great way to connect with a group of students. A lot of the student orgs will have interviewing nights and employer panel discussions. But yeah, that's a great way. And then Kyle and I can connect y'all with contacts with these student orgs.
Sorry, everybody.
That's okay.
So on-campus interviews. So I know that I mentioned this a little earlier, but I wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about, because it's such a vital part of what we do here at LSU. We offer a turnkey on-campus interviewing program through Handshake. So I'm kind of jumping to my third point, but
you're reverberating a little bit, Kyle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it any better now? Is it better?
You see? A little bit.
Well, do you want to take it then? You want to do this slide?
No, you're good now, but I don't know what you did.
I'm good. All right, I'm back.
You're good. You're back.
So I'm kind of jumping to that third point, but there's really kind of two ways to go about our OCI process. So you can do a pre-select interview process. So that is, again, tied to a Handshake job posting, where candidates are able to apply for a set amount of days. That job will close out. You'll have some time to assess those candidates and basically make your pre-selection. So of the 40 candidates that apply, these 12 students I absolutely want to talk to. through that pre-selection process. They're notified. They're able to go in, self-select their interview times, and you can even include alternates. So say there's 15 students total, but 12 of those are absolute interviews, and then the other 3 are, if there we would talk to these students, you can schedule out and those alternate students. And then, your schedule is built out, it's emailed to you, and then you're able to come to campus and interview, or as you'll see this fall with my second point, you'll be able to virtually interview those candidates, and we can help you with that process as well. And that's simply where you have your Handshake posting, you're able to assess the candidates, you make your choices, you notify your candidates, you build out your interview schedule and times and everything. And all we ask is that you just please let us know what the final schedule looks like, just for our what's the word I'm looking for? Just so that we can kind of keep track of how many interviews are happening. So those are, like I said, those are the 2 methods. And obviously the big kicker is for fall 2020 and beyond, we're going to offer virtual interviewing, which is something that we haven't in the past. But of note, only virtual interviewing will be offered this fall, simply because of obviously what's going on, not just here in Louisiana, but across the country. But again, we are committed. And I know Garnisha is on, has joined us today. Garnisha is our on-campus interviewing coordinator. We as a team and as an office are committed to ensuring that you have success through your interviewing experience this fall. And we're here as a resource to help you through that process. So please don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Garnisha, Amy, Jesse, our director, any of our staff here, and we will get you in touch with the personnel that can help you with that. But again, we're excited about the virtual realm with our OCI program. We were moving toward that anyways pre-COVID, and then COVID just pushed us right over that. So we're excited to be offering this to our employers, because we really do feel like this is going to really bolster our engagement and bolster the opportunities that we have for our employers to connect with students. So we're excited about it and looking forward to offering a very robust OCI program moving forward.
And as I mentioned this, in our previous slides, with the liaison program and with our career coaches, this is a great way for y'all to get connected to these colleges. And it's exciting that we have people that are engaged in those colleges to help you along the way. So Kyle and I can definitely get y'all connected with the liaison and with the career coaches that align with the majors that you're looking for. Another way would be to have your company be a representative in one of our student programmings. The picture that we have over here to the right was an event that we held for Google Hangout that was geared mainly towards our software and computer science students. But we have different student programming throughout the fall and spring semesters. So that's a great way to get engaged with your different student populations.
And then also we encourage y'all, some outside the box engagement. So obviously, yes, we would love to have you connected with sharing your jobs and internships on Handshake. We would love to have you attending these virtual events that we're offering, and hopefully by spring, coming back and seeing us on campus for our events. Connecting with the various student organizations that Amy's mentioned. Those are all great avenues. But some other ones that we wanted to offer up to consider would be, our career course. The OCC offers a career course every semester where students can take, some coursework helping them in various avenues, such as, their resume writing, mock interview skills, things of that nature. And there are opportunities that arise on occasion for employers to interact with that class. And usually those are, there's a couple of different opportunities each semester. And so if that's something that you might be interested in, please, by all means, reach out to, either Amy or myself, and we can connect you with Brianna Nelson, who is spearheading that coursework to try to help, get you slotted for the upcoming fall semester. But those, really what we're looking for in those type sessions is really, kind of student development type topics. So, if you might be able to share on, ways that a student can help make themselves stand out to you as an employer at, one of these recruiting events, or, what for you as an employer really makes a resume pop, things of that nature. Those are things that we'd love to help you connect with, because I know Brianna really enjoys having, some industry involvement in those courses, because again, like, we as a career center know that we certainly have things of value to offer our students, but we also know that our industry partners have so much, of value to offer, just as far as your perspective, your experiences, and things that are happening within the industry, or things that you anticipate will be happening within the industry in the coming future. So again, those are great avenues to connect. And then also, offer up your company as a potential host for a Careers on the Go employer trek, whether virtual or in person. And I think that's something I know that our job search team does a great job of working on, usually in our spring semester, of offering, some Careers on the Go employer treks for students. But, that's something that can also be negotiated and kind of put together. I don't want to say last minute, but I think we can help put some things together relatively quickly, especially in regards to our career course, where Amy and I could help kind of spearhead that. And again, especially this fall where we're in that virtual environment, I think there's a lot of opportunity there regardless, because the great thing about the virtual environment is it doesn't matter how close you are to campus. I mean, you can be on the West Coast and still offer, a virtual kind of Careers on the Go employer trek for our students to engage with you and actually see your company. Like I said, regardless of where you're at, across the country. So, we would love to help you, see if that's an avenue that you might want to explore, because that's the best way to really sell your company. Obviously, your values are a huge component. Your benefits packages are a huge component. The work environment that you've created is a huge component. But seeing your facility and seeing what the graduates are going to walk into for their professional careers, seeing that up close and personal, there's nothing that can replace that. There's nothing, there's no pamphlet that can do a better job than actually going on a virtual tour of, a corporate headquarter environment. So again, those are some kind of out of the box engagement opportunities that I think we would highly recommend, especially right now while we're operating within kind of this virtual, because it just makes it easy for students and employers to connect that way.
Hey, Kyle.
Yes.
I know Charles was wanting to know if you could speak on more on how the virtual OCI is going to look.
Yeah, absolutely. So the virtual OCI is really not going to look drastically different than our current OCI program. So you would still post your job in Handshake, and I'm going to go with the pre-select route. So you would still post your job in Handshake. Students will still apply via Handshake. You'll still have that set period of time where you're able to assess those candidates and make your pre-selections, and they'll be notified, and they can build out their schedule and all of that. The big difference is simply, instead of hosting those interviews here physically in our recruitment center, you would host those via a virtual interview, whether that's Zoom or Skype. I mean, obviously our first initial thought is, if you can do Zoom, that's great, because all of our LSU students already have a free Zoom account, because we're kind of a Zoom campus. I know LSU has a contract with Zoom. So if you can do it through Zoom, that's great. But by all means, you are not pigeonholed into using Zoom. We know some have utilized Google Teams and Google Meet. Uh, Skype is another popular option. Again, there's a bevy of online platforms to where you could utilize that interview session. But it's really just communicating out to the student of, this is your time, and here is the link for you to sign in and connect. And obviously, our team here at the OCC, especially our job search team and things of that nature, they're going to be working hard to make sure that our students are prepared and equipped for these virtual interview sessions, for the fall. So making sure that their background is professional. So whether that's using a filter or something similar to what we're using right now, or just making sure that your bed is made and that you don't have a pile of laundry behind you when you're doing your interview. Roommates are aware that, hey, I'm going to be in my room. Can y'all please be quiet? I'm going to be participating in a virtual interview. I think also as it moves on, I think we will likely also have the opportunity to have those students be able to interview virtually from our recruitment center. We do have those professional spaces that are dedicated to our students. So that will be an option for them to come to the recruitment center and have a room to set their laptop in and have a stable internet connection to engage with our employers. But again, to go back to your original question, it's not going to look or feel drastically different than what it has in the past. The only difference is, instead of it being an in-person interview face-to-face, it's just going to be held virtually. And we'll have some resources that will be available to our employers, in the future, to better highlight what those options are and what that's going to look like. And again, we're always here as a resource, whether that's myself, Amy, Barnisha, we're here to serve you guys and help kind of answer any of those questions that y'all might run into. So I hope I answered that thoroughly. If not, by all means, follow-up rebuttal question. I'm happy to continue that conversation. I'm actually jumping into the chat right now just to see. Okay. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. So yeah, I mean, that now we can enter into, we've got, I'd say 5 to 10 more minutes. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask those either in the chat, or I'll be 100% honest. If you would rather just unmute yourself and ask the question, that's perfectly fine as well.
Right.
Like I said, our presentation, I will go ahead and share this just in case anybody, was going to jump off to either use the restroom or go grab a cup of water. This is our contact information. So again, you can find us on the website, but if it's easier for you to just quickly jot this down, feel free to. We're happy to help you guys in any way, shape, or form. We understand that this virtual world that we're kind of branching into, this virtual recruitment, it's a new world for all of us in some way, shape, or form. So we are happy to help navigate that for you and with you, because, like I said, it's new for everybody. This was our first virtual employer drive-in. On September 15th, we will host our first virtual expo day. So we're kind of learning alongside you, but I just want to continue to reiterate that our team and the OCC as a whole is 100% committed to ensuring that although the feel may be a little different, that hopefully the results will remain the same, and that y'all will have continued success in your recruitment of our LSU students. That's our number one priority this fall, and will remain our number one priority throughout the future. So I'm checking the chat. I see it's blowing up. I see Amy is chit-chatting away, typing away.
I did it privately. Dang it.
I know, it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine.
Cut and paste that and put it there.
Yeah, I will copy and paste that to the larger group. So this was Amy's reply to the question, Nikki, about the Easy Virtual. Let's see. Oh, sorry, I'm scrolling through. Yes, the virtual booths. That is a perfect question. We are the session that follows this up. So That's why I'm going to make sure that we stay on time, because I want one to be able to participate in the upcoming session with Easy Virtual. Katie, who is one of our account reps there with Easy Virtual, is going to be doing a demo of exactly your question. She's going to be kind of walking y'all through that process of what setting up a booth and participating in a virtual event is going to look like through their platform. All right, well, we're coming up on the end of our session, which was technically 1:30, but Amy and I will gladly stay in the meeting for another additional, five minutes or so, just in case anybody has a question maybe they didn't want to ask in front of everybody. Maybe you just wanted to ask more on a one-on-one basis. We'd be happy to answer that. But again, we wanted to thank you sincerely for your commitment to LSU. To the OCC and our students. Our jobs would be pretty boring without you guys. We appreciate y'all. And again, I just wanted to reiterate, our commitment to y'all, our employer partners, to ensure that your fall virtual recruitment here at LSU still yields the same success that your in-person recruiting would. Dana, I see you had a question. Yes, we will. This has been recorded. And I know Amy, Courtney is going to, I think, follow up with all of our participants. If not today, in the coming days, and it will have links to all of the sessions today. So, hypothetically, you can actually see everything that was presented today, whether you were able to attend it or not. That we'll have all the hyperlinks to all of the sessions today. So, we're super excited. And again, we're so thankful for y'all's time today and your commitment to LSU. And with that, like I said, we don't have anything further as far as actual deliverables on this presentation, but we'll stick around for any questions that might come up for the next 5 minutes or so. But feel free to run to the restroom, go grab you a cup of water, and definitely be back for that 1:45 with Katie, because it's going to be a great session. We're looking forward to it. Any closing remarks for you, Mrs. Caluette?
No, I think you covered them all. Yeah, but just to reiterate what Kyle was saying, if you have any questions that come up, even if it didn't pertain to our presentation, just some questions. If we don't know the answers, we can definitely point you in the right direction. So just give us a call or shoot us an email. Email probably would be best, since we're going to be working on a schedule
hybrid rotational schedule. Yeah, you can reach us via email, because as long as I have this in my pocket, email goes with me everywhere.
Right. And I think our next session starts at 1:45.
Yep.
I'm actually excited about the next session.
Oh, I am too. I'm super pumped. Super pumped.
I think as an employer, even if I didn't go to any other sessions, it was worth me paying just to go to that session to get a leg up on how do you navigate in a virtual career platform.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, I don't anticipate any more questions. I know we filtered everybody out pretty much. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the share and go ahead and close down the recording. But thank you all again so much for your time. And we look forward to having you back at 1:45 for our Easy Virtual Fair demo. So thank you all again. Take care.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Bye, y'all.